Let's take a listen at this.
When it comes to Israel's current war against Hamas, there is a clear gap between the sides on a moral level. One side, Hamas and its allies, seeks to murder civilians. That's why they slaughtered 1,400 innocent Jews in Israel and have planted their military sites directly in civilian areas.
Okay, so first thing I want to refute about what he said, Ben Shapiro, is that the number of Palestinians killed in the last few days is almost 4,000. 3,780 something, 4,000, almost 4,000. I mean, it is more than 4,000, but just put it in the round figure. And he is talking about morality, that there is a clear gap between Israel, IDF, and Hamas. Of course, you can see the gap. 1,400, he claimed 1,400 Israelis were killed. And how many Israeli killed? Almost 4,000. So yes, obviously there is a gap. I agree with you, Ben Shapiro.
Attempting to stop their own civilians from escaping those areas.
No, Hamas is not stopping their civilians to escape. Hamas is not North Korea. Hamas is more than happy if these citizens could go to a different country. So for example, we have seen yesterday actually came in the news that Egypt, their guard, the border guards, they were shooting at people from Gaza coming out. It means you cannot escape Gaza. Other than that, there is absolutely no basis to the story. So no, this is not true that Hamas is stopping these people to cross over to a different country. It is actually other countries, and also obviously Israel is also responsible for that.
Hamas openly acknowledges, they say, that they use civilians as human shields.
There is absolutely zero evidence of that Hamas said it. Absolutely zero. He is a pathological, a narcissistic person who is lying all the time. And this is one of his lies. And he used this lie in the past many times, saying that Hamas came out in public and openly acknowledged that they are targeting or they are using civilians as a shield. This is so absurd. Hamas was created in 1987. They now have a member of close to 40,000, 15 to 40,000. This organization, this movement of Hamas, it grew over time. In the beginning, there was only few hundred. If this organization, if they were using human as a shield of their own people, then this organization or this entity would not have grown the way it did.
The other side, Israel, seeks to save civilians. That's precisely why Hamas locates its military assets in civilian neighborhoods. If Israel were truly a human rights monster that didn't care about civilians, Hamas would have no incentive to shield its weapons with innocent Gazans.
Of course, Israel is targeting civilians. They do not even have to go to Gaza for that. They can target from wherever they are, because it is not the Israeli who will have to go to Gaza for any purpose other than obviously to create more settlements. But it is going to be the other way around. It is the Gaza and the Palestinian coming to Israel, the land they call Israel, because of many purposes. For example, they go to the Al-Aqsa Masjid, all of the Muslims. They go to the Masjid Al-Aqsa and they pray there. So where we see that Ben Shapiro is claiming something like this absurd, that Israel is not going inside of Gaza, we find this very absurd, and that Gazan, the Hamas, the group, the entity is coming to attack Israelis in Israel or inside of Gaza, using them as a human shield, is something absolutely unacceptable.
On the one side, Hamas has a health ministry that routinely lies. In 2014, for example, Hamas's Interior Ministry website issued instructions to online activists, including the following statements. These are direct quotes. Quote, "Anyone killed or martyred is to be called a civilian from Gaza or Palestine before we talk about his status in jihad or his military rank."
Take a look at his claim. He's quoting a statement from Ministry of Health in Gaza, but in Palestine, but he is not providing any screenshot of that quote. So he is, again, as I said, is a pathological liar, a narcissistic person who goes on to lie about anything without any proof, without any evidence. So this is what he does all the time, Ben Shapiro, that he will lie in front of cameras. Now, he also obviously lied just recently when he said that Hamas, they decapitated babies. And then the entire media, the Western media, they took it back. They said, no, this is not true. This is disinformation. So he took part in it. The point here is that he took part in it. So Ben Shapiro, he goes on to lie more and more.
Don't forget to always add innocent civilian or innocent citizen in your description of those killed in Israeli attacks on Gaza.
Again, no evidence, no proof whatsoever.
They also say, quote, avoid publishing pictures of rockets fired into Israel from Gaza city centers. This would provide a pretext for attacking residential areas in the Gaza Strip.
No, there is no evidence to that. Like, again, he is just babbling. He's just talking. He is not giving any evidence. Now, obviously, his main weapon is that he will scapegoat Hamas for everything that Israel is doing, their atrocities. But take a look at this report. Okay, in July 2nd, 2001, there was a terrorist attack, according to what the Westerners claim, terrorist attack, right? And it said the two separate bombs exploded at about 8:20 Monday morning in cars in Tel Aviv suburb of Yehud. Now, this incident happened when Hamas was not in the picture. It happened under the secular PLO. So they carried out this kind of attacks on Israeli in Tel Aviv. When Ben Shapiro, he tries to scapegoat Hamas for everything that is happening right now, it is absolutely absurd. And he obviously he's a liar. So his job is to lie. His job is to blame now Hamas for everything, when Hamas was not even responsible for all these bombings in the past, the way PLO was responsible. So again, he found a boogeyman, in this case Hamas, and he is putting all the blame on them.
Unquote.
And obviously, in doing so, he will obviously try to take away our attention from Israeli IDF's atrocities against the Palestinians.
Because Hamas runs a tyrannical terror state, media members are routinely told what to report, which is why that same year, in 2014, the Washington Post admitted that when it comes to body counts, the Hamas health minister was, quote, the only game in town. They threatened reporters. That same minister acknowledged that he maximized the count of civilian casualties. The New York Times in 2014 recognized that Hamas inflates such statistics as well. The other side.
Again, he's babbling without providing any evidence whatsoever.
Israel is a democracy with high levels of transparency, a free press, a robust democracy with highly aggressive opposition parties. The current prime minister of Israel has been dragged by that media and opposition through scandal after scandal.
And the reason I'm saying this is because the reason I'm saying he's lying is because take a look at his follower number, 6.43 million. Do you not expect somebody with that much popularity to show us evidence, proof that whatever he's making claim about, should he not be providing some evidence? Well, he should.
That doesn't mean that Israel doesn't get things wrong. It does mean that Israel does not make lying its central principle in military matters.
Well, they do lie, because when Shirin Abdul Aqila, the journalist from Al Jazeera, was killed, they lied. Israeli military lied. In fact, they forced U.S. Joe Biden administration to lie too, that she was not killed by Israeli forces. So Ben Shapiro, we have evidence. We see things and we can read things. Unlike this guy who is a pathological liar, doesn't provide any evidence, and we are not able to see any evidence with our own eyes. And this is what Ben Shapiro does all the time. And he scapegoats Hamas for everything happening, and by doing so, he targets 95% of the Palestinian civilians in Gaza and also in the West Bank. 95% of civilians, they target IDF using, or scapegoating, I should say, Hamas. And Ben Shapiro is just peddling that same propaganda for IDF in this case.